and my emotional stress. You allowed me to be his mom one last time, and also to keep my promise to him to never leave his side, which during the pandemic was nothing less than a miracle. There is no other place that could have ever done this. God knows there is no other place like Calvary Hospital. Sincerely, Pamela Jones Bryce.
This is Frank Calamari, president of Calvary Hospital, where life continues. Call us at 718-518-2000 or visit calvaryhospital.org. Thank you.
With a 261 horsepower engine that'll take you 0 to 60 in 5.7 seconds. Over the day, representing bucks.
Don't let someone else drive off in the Audi model you've always wanted. Visit your Tri-State area Audi dealer to get behind the wheel of yours today. Or visit AudiOffers.com for more information.
At Columbia Bank, just because CD rates go up doesn't mean you have to look up. Introducing our Bump Up CD. Now when you open a CD, you can take advantage of a special one-time opportunity to bump up your rate if rates increase. Visit a branch or ColumbiaBankOnline.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Now Bloomberg traffic and weather. We'll start on the Belts Parkway eastbound. St. Louis Street, there was an accident. The right lane is blocked. Stop and go traffic back to the area of the Murray Tunnel Bridge. Westbound on the Belts, an accident cleared over by 150th Street. A heavy ride on the westbound BQE, 10 extra minutes of Flushing Avenue down to the Atlantic Avenue. Traveling in Manhattan, looks like the west side is fine. The Highland River Driver is slow getting up to George Washington Bridge. 10 minutes down at the Holland Tunnel, heading for both the Turnpike and 1 and 9. No reported delays at the Lincoln Tunnel. In that upper level of the George Washington Bridge, that is a 10-minute delay. In sports, the World Cup, they are underway so far. England, USA, 0-0 at the 6th minute of play. Tonight, the Nets, they visit Indiana. The Knicks host Portland. The Islanders, they're in Columbus. And the Devils visit Buffalo. The Bloomberg 11:30 3-day weather forecast. Now, for the rest of this afternoon, partly sunny skies. Highs should approach 50. Tonight, clear. Lows 35 to 40. Saturday, sunshine. Highs 50 to 55. And Sunday, rain moves in with a high 55 to 60. Right now in Central Park on this Black Friday afternoon, we do have partly sunny skies. The current temperature is at 50 degrees. With the best ride in and out of the city, I'm Nick Pileggi. This is Bloomberg 1130, bringing you global news 24 hours a day.
This is Bloomberg Business Week with Carol Masser and Bloomberg Quick Take Tim Skenovich from Bloomberg Radio.
Consulting, and you think of McKinsey & Company. It's a firm that's nearly 100 years old with more than 40,000 employees, a firm with an alumni network of more than 34,000 working in just about every business sector out there in 120 countries.
Speaking of those alums, many household names. I mean, Carol, we're talking people like Sheryl Sandberg, Chelsea Clinton, current CEOs all over, including Citigroup, Alphabet, and Morgan Stanley. McKinsey itself, though, a household name, and it's the subject of a new book. It's called When McKinsey Comes to Town, the hidden influence of the world's most powerful consulting firm.
The co-authors are decorated New York Times investigative reporters Walt Bogdanich and Michael Forsythe. Our conversation began with Walt explaining how he managed to gather information about the ultra-clandestine private firm.
Well, when we started, we knew it would be a challenge because McKinsey's entire business model is based on secrecy. You know, never disclose our client list, never disclose what they pay us. And they're hugely powerful. I mean, they have no accountability. And what we wanted to do was look at this secretive company, see what we could find, and find out whether, you know, they're doing good things or bad things. And that's what journalists do.
That's true, right? That's what they're supposed to do. Walt, you did get a hold of that McKinsey client list, which they do hold near and dear. So what did it, as you went through it, what did it reveal to you?
I think we were most interested in the conflicts of interest that emerged from that list. These are conflicts of interest that would never have been known. What kind of conflicts I'm talking about? Well, you know, advising, you know, the biggest pharmaceutical companies in the world at the same time that they're advising the Food and Drug Administration. that would seem to be a major problem. They were advising all the big cigarette companies at a time when they were advising the Office of Smoking and Health or Office of Smoking within the FDA. So those are glaring examples that we would not have learned about until if we had not obtained that list.
Well, is there any type of work that McKinsey won't take?
Well, these days, I think they'll say yes. But I mean, I won't know until I see the proof. I mean, what they did, and to their credit, let's see whether they carry through on it. After a lot of the exposés that were in the media, mostly in the Times, they decided to change. They decided to screen their clients more carefully and to monitor them, to do a better risk assessment. How well that's working, how, thoroughly they are engaged in that new policy. I hate to use the cliche, time will tell, but time will tell.
One thing I did want to share is that McKinsey has actually put out a statement, and it's on their website. It's in the media section, and it says, quote, "A recently published book fundamentally misrepresents our firm and our work. The book also seeks to associate our firm with events like the 2008 financial crisis, a Major League Baseball cheating scandal, or safety incidents at a theme park that we simply had nothing to do with. Perhaps this is why the book contains more than a dozen disclaimers across these and other issues, acknowledging that our work did not cause or was not associated with the trend or event for which the authors criticize us." And I would love for maybe both of you to weigh in on this. Michael, why don't you take it first?
So, McKinsey did put out that statement the day we published the book. We, in the book, look at so many issues across the world, where McKinsey has had a very big impact, and in many cases, very negative impact. South Africa, China, Saudi Arabia, looking at the opioid crisis, their work with tobacco companies. There are so many instances where they did have a big impact. I don't think we ever would have written this book if we didn't think McKinsey made a difference. And of course, there are many, many projects at McKinsey, many things that we never hear about because, they go fine, and they do plenty of good work as well. But like Walt often likes to say, as journalists, we don't write about the aircraft that safely take off the land. We write about the crashes.
Right.
And the fact is that at McKinsey, there are so many airplane crashes, so to speak, and that's what we've compiled in the book. It's more than just a one-off.
Hey, Michael, what did you guys find about the company's financials? And, I think a lot of people hear about, at least in my experience, have learned about, they hear about the consultants who spend 4 or 5 days on the road working on secretive projects and traveling to different places for a year at a time, for example, and maybe doing that for a few years, and then they get into their 30s and they go off and they do something else and, potentially become the CEO of a different company. What about the partners who stay there, and how is their wealth tied to these projects?
So they're very well paid. Maybe not as well paid as a private equity, partner or, a hedge fund manager or the CEO of a bank on Wall Street. But, we're talking millions of dollars, $3-4 million for senior partners at times. So, or even more. So they're well compensated. They also can invest. There's an internal hedge fund called the McKinsey Investment Office, where they can put their money as well. So, they're well paid, but as you said, a lot of people do leave McKinsey and go on to do other things. And, many CEOs of Wall Street Bank, the CEO of Morgan Stanley is a former McKinsey consultant.
Hey, well, come on back in. Tell us about who you talked to, both of you, who you talked to do some of this book. A lot of, I'm assuming, right, former McKinsey insiders.
I'm glad you asked that question because every McKinsey consultant signs a non-disclosure agreement. That's a tall mountain for us to climb. We don't have subpoena power. But let me tell you this, we kept digging and digging, and by the end of it, we interviewed nearly 100 current and former McKinsey consultants, which I think is astounding. And the reason we did that is because McKinsey hires, by and large, responsible, idealistic people, the best at the schools where they recruit. And when you hire those kinds of people, and they see the difference between what they were told when they were hired and McKinsey's actions in the real world, they get unhappy. And fortunately, they were able to find our phone numbers, and they called us.
Walt, have you heard from more folks at McKinsey or formerly at McKinsey since the book came out?
I would say like in the last 10 minutes, yes.
Wow.
From around the world. And they, at this point, what are we going to do with that? I don't know. But we're certainly collecting. And if after discussing it with our editors, if we decide there's more to be written, we will write.
Our thanks to New York Times investigative reporters Walt Bogdanich and Michael Forsythe. Their book is called When McKinsey Comes to Town, The Hidden Influence of the World's Most Powerful Consulting Firm, and it's out now.
Still ahead on Bloomberg Business Week, why the world's biggest social media company is seeing its digital ad dollars squeeze the hardest.
There might be kind of a bigger reason that Meta in particular's ad business, it has a big hole in it, and that hole is shaped like an apple.
Our tech team breaks down Meta's most pressing issues next. This is Bloomberg.
It's hard to keep up with all the week's news.
Huge issues like immigration, inflation, and abortion are changing the dynamics.
Luckily, you have Sundays to catch up. Starting at 11 a.m. Meet the Press.
Control of the House is going to be by 2 or 3 seats max.
Fox News Sunday.
The president has said, you've got to veto that.
ABC This Week.
Democrats defy history as they keep control of the Senate.
And Face the Nation.
Trends that influence the midterm election results.
Sundays on Bloomberg 1130. Bloomberg. The world is listening.
That's the sound of a crack in the ceiling found at a home inspection. But with a realtor by your side, a newfound leak might only cause minor worries. With their expertise, a realtor can suggest a credit at closing and even connect you to a contractor to help you shore up that leak and alleviate your worries. When it comes to cracks in your plans, the expertise of a realtor can make all the difference. The difference between an agent and a realtor is real. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors. That's who we are.
Mario Gabelli, chairman of Gabelli Asset Management, talks about why he chose the Jewish Communal Fund for his charitable giving.
Back in 1982, we were looking to put money to work in the charitable area. As an analyst, I examined all the details of the Jewish Communal Fund, and it fit exactly what I needed, and at the time I needed it, and it continues to do that.
For more than 40 years, the Jewish Communal Fund has been helping busy people simplify their charitable giving. A charitable fund may be opened quickly and easily with a $5,000 gift of cash or appreciated securities. Distributions from your fund will be made to qualified charities on your timetable at your recommendation. In the meantime, the assets in your fund are invested and have the potential to grow tax-free.
I like everything about it. I like the service, I like the people, and it's worked for me.
Open a JCF fund now to lock in this year's tax deduction. Call 212-752-8277, 212-752-8277, or visit jcfny.org.
Out are wealth management firms creating next-gen experiences for their advisors and investors? Ben Harrison, co-head of Wealth Solutions at BNY Mellon Pershing, explains.
As investor expectations for digital experiences rapidly grow, Pershing powers our clients and their brands with flexible and scalable technology solutions. From digital advice to an intelligent open architecture platform, our solutions help firms create tailored client experiences, drive digital transformation, and increase efficiency. Wealth management firms benefit by being able to support the entire investor journey, from emerging investors to ultra-high net worth individuals. It's just one way we help our clients consider everything.
To learn more about how Pershing can help you bring digital wealth solutions into your business, visit Pershing.com. Pershing LLC, member FINRA, NYSE, SIPC.
Look beyond the ordinary with Global X ETFs. From cell phones to smartwatches, our world is more connected than ever. Even average household items like toasters now have the capability to connect to the internet. As innovation and investment in digital infrastructure continues to increase, technologies like 5G and the Internet of Things are growing exponentially. Visit globalxetfs.com to discover these themes and more for your portfolio.
Conresnick Advisory Assurance Tax. Before ESG reshapes private equity investing, Conresnick helped clients recognize the opportunities. Learn more at conresnick.com.
Now Bloomberg traffic and weather. Traveling on the Gowanus eastbound at 6th Avenue, a broken down car in the right lane. A very heavy delay of 15 minutes back from Fort Hamilton Parkway. an accident on the Belt Parkway eastbound at Main 8th Street. It blocks the right lane. The lane's coming off the Verrazano Bridge. Traveling in Manhattan, the west side, the east side, no problems all the way up or all the way back down. An extra 10 minutes on the Harlem River Drive, northbound 145th Street up to the George Washington Bridge. Outbound Holland Tunnel, 10 minutes, 10 into both approaches. No delays at the Lincoln Tunnel, inbound George Washington Bridge, 10 minutes into the upper level tolls. In sports, at last check in the 18th minute, no score yet, so 0-0 between the U.S. and England in World Cup play. Tonight, the Nets visit Indiana, the Knicks host Portland, Islanders are in Columbus, and the Devils visit Buffalo. Bloomberg 11:30, three-day weather. For the rest of today, partly sunny, high near 50. Tonight, clear, low 35 to 40. Saturday, sunshine, highs 50 to 55. Sunday, rain, high 55 to 60. Right now in Central Park, skies are beginning to brighten. The current temperature is at 51 degrees. This report brought to you by Audi. Don't let someone else drive off in the Audi model you've always wanted. Visit your local tri-state Audi dealer today or visit AudiOffers.com. With the best ride in and out of the city, I'm Ed Tamaki, Bloomberg 1130, bringing you global news 24 hours a day.
Powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. This is New York's only 24-hour source for breaking business news and market-moving headlines. Bloomberg 1130. Now, a global news update.
The man who shot and killed 6 people at a Walmart in Virginia bought the gun legally on the morning of the shooting. That's according to a tweet from the city of Chesapeake. This comes after the alleged shooter's death note was posted online, which included him saying he failed God and his associates were going to suffer the same fate as him. Stocks are closing mixed to end the holiday-shortened trading week. Worries about COVID-19 lockdowns in China dampened market sentiment following an otherwise upbeat Thanksgiving week. At the closing bell, the Dow Jones Industrial Average gained 152 points, the S&P 500 lost a point, and the Nasdaq fell 68 points. Canada's Prime Minister is testifying about his government's decision to invoke a controversial law to halt the trucker protest. A convoy of truckers brought the capital city of Ottawa to a standstill this winter as they were trying to fight back against COVID vaccine mandates. Justin Trudeau has said the use of the Emergencies Act was a measure of last resort. That's the latest. I'm Julie Ryan.
And I'm Tracy Johnson from Bloomberg World Headquarters. Wall Street did not get very far on its half-day workday, but the week was the winner with a big assist from the Fed. For the day, the Dow's up 0.5%, 153 points. The Nasdaq down 0.5%, 59 points lower. The S&P staked out the middle ground. It's down a point. For the week, gains of between 0.75% and 1.75% for all three, with a push from the release Wednesday of the minutes of the Fed meeting early this month. In that, investors saw reason to hope the Federal Reserve will be less aggressive with rate hikes soon. Consumers were paying record prices for the turkey on their Thanksgiving tables, and the main reason is the avian influenza outbreak that is now officially the worst on record. Bloomberg's Charlie Pellet reports on the outbreak that pushed the total number of birds killed this year over 50.5 million.
Tracy, the highly pathogenic virus was found at a commercial turkey farm in South Dakota this week, resulting in tens of thousands of birds being killed to avoid further spread. USDA data shows that pushed the 2022 total depopulation numbers above 2015. The virus has mostly impacted turkey and egg operations, sending prices to records and contributing to soaring food inflation. Tracy?
Vegan foie gras is now on the menu in Switzerland and Spain. Bloomberg's Tina Cervetti explains.
Nestle has introduced the new product to ease the conscience of foodies worried about animal welfare. Traditionally, the pate is made by force-feeding ducks or geese through a tube to make their livers fatty. The new vegan version is called foie gras, which combines soy with miso, truffle oil, and sea salt.
Global news, 24 hours a day, on air and on Bloomberg's Quick Take. Powered by more than 2,700 journalists and analysts in more than 120 countries. I'm Tracy Johnke. This is Bloomberg.
Broadcasting from the financial capital of the world, Bloomberg 1130 in New York. To Washington, D.C., Bloomberg 99.1. To Boston, Bloomberg 106.1. To San Francisco, Bloomberg 960. To the country, Sirius XM Channel 119.
and around the globe. The Bloomberg Business app and BloombergRadio.com. This is Bloomberg Business Week with Carol Massar and Bloomberg Great Take Tim Sinovich on Bloomberg Radio.
Last year's changes to Apple's privacy policies have shaken the foundations of the targeted advertising industry. Meta felt it as revenue in the third quarter totaled, $27.7 billion. That's a lot, but it was 4.5% lower than the same quarter in 2021.
In the technology section of the current double issue of Bloomberg Business Week, it's out now online, on newsstands and on the terminal. It's a story about how Meta is confronting a huge hit to its once mighty ad business. We get more from Bloomberg News technology reporter Alex Barinka.
We've heard a lot of anger at the general economic conditions from all of the internet companies like Meta that depend on digital ads, blaming the economy for the really bad quarters they've had over the last 6 months or so. I'm writing that there might be kind of a bigger reason that Meta in particular's ad business, it has a big hole in it, and that hole is shaped like Apple. About a year ago, Apple changed its privacy policies for the iPhone that made ads on social media both harder to target specific people and harder to track the return on the spend on those ads. And a year in, Meta has estimated that had a $10 billion hit on its ad business. And myself and a lot of the analysts and insiders I spoke to for this story would also argue that that's what's dragging Meta down to potentially, if its third straight quarter of revenue declines, it's more Apple than the economy. And I tried to break that down for folks this week.
Well, there's a stark chart included in your piece that shows how other companies are faring or projected to fare between 2021 and 2022. TikTok, according to eMarketer, has a projected change of 155% versus Meta down at the bottom of which a projected change of negative 2%. Why is TikTok able to capitalize on something when, they're using the same hardware and the same operating systems to deliver those ads?
I think there's two key reasons. So Meta, as you mentioned, Facebook, Instagram, those are Meta's companies, have historically been based on who you know. Your friend graph is how they derive kind of insight on you. And plus the information that they were able to glean from Apple to make sure that advertisers are reaching the people they want to reach. TikTok, on the other hand, has built out an AI kind of focused recommendation engine that is derived on a user's interest. So they know more about you than just who you know. They know who you're actually interested in. That is some of the information. It's not quite apples to apples that Meta has lost. So TikTok has been able to kind of really lean into this interest-based recommendation. Now, the one caveat I would give is Meta is still an advertising giant. They're still expected to bring in about $116 billion in revenue this year. TikTok is only about a tenth of that, so there is some kind of youth in growth there for TikTok, but that is kind of the big reason that folks might be looking to platforms where they can target people a little bit more effectively than maybe what's been lost on Facebook and Instagram.
I got to say, Alex, one of the lines I love in your story, you say the company has no experience managing decline. There's something to be said. I mean, this is a company that has been on fire, maybe a little bit of trouble at that IPO initially, but figured it out, righted the ship. But when things start to go wrong, you might not have a playbook or the people in place to be like, well, wait, how do we fix this?
Right, and you'll remember they laid off 13% of their workforce in their biggest layoff ever. So this is a company now that's going to be expected to do more with less. So this Apple thing is a big problem, but there are a lot of other problems at Meta. You have the economic conditions. You have the scrutiny on the political power that Facebook and Instagram have on the world. You have this big bet that Mark Zuckerberg is making, trying to build a virtual reality world called the Metaverse, and funneling $10 billion a year into that direction. So there's a lot going on there, and now it's going on with 11,000 people fewer than just 2 weeks ago. So it seems like they're really going to have to kind of buckle down. So this will definitely be one to watch as they kind of juggle both coming back from these changes that Apple forced upon their business, battling economic conditions, and trying to paint the future of computing in the metaverse.
Hey, Alex, I kind of want to throw a little bit of a curveball at you because it's not necessarily what your most recent piece is about, but I know you've done so much reporting about this. I'm wondering what small businesses think of this change, because they're the ones who have done a lot of advertising historically on Meta platforms, including Facebook and Instagram. And now, ostensibly, it's more difficult for them to target their potential customers.
Yeah, throw those curveballs away. I will say big businesses have been okay. They've spent more on newspapers or buying ads on TV channels. So the big companies can do that because they have the budget. small businesses have kind of historically been stuck with two options, basically Meta or Google Alphabet search ads when it comes to reaching customers on the internet. So they've been the folks who basically have had to kind of roll with the punches here, and that's also why we think there's been such a big decline in overall ad spending.
That's Bloomberg News technology reporter Alex Barinka.
You're listening to Bloomberg Business Week. Coming up next, a high-end audio equipment maker is fighting for market share amid stiff economic headwinds.
The number one way that new customers come into the system is existing customers telling their friends and family. So it's a pretty powerful model in that way. We've got a good balance between existing and new.
Sonos CEO Patrick Spence joins us on the other side. This is Bloomberg.
The news you need.
Turmoil at Twitter remains front and center.
And the context that matters.
A year from now, what will Twitter look like?
Wake up to the headlines with Bloomberg Daybreak.
The latest on the collapse of FTX.
Stay for analysis on Bloomberg Surveillance.
A lot of people didn't understand it, but we're still investing in it.
Bloomberg Daybreak at 5 a.m. Followed by Bloomberg Surveillance at 7.
Fed speech is back in a big way.
Weekday mornings on Bloomberg 1130. Start ahead of the competition.
Join us virtually for Bloomberg Prognosis, Advancing Health Equity in Dermatology on November 29th. We will bring together health industry experts to learn about the challenges patients of color face in medical dermatology and what we can do about them. This event is proudly sponsored by Pfizer. Register at BloombergLive.com/prognosis/radio. That's BloombergLive.com/prognosis/radio.
Verdin LLP Accountants and Advisors presents Industry Chat with Jeff Kovacs, partner and head of the Technology and Life Sciences practice.
Early to mid-stage technology companies often ask, what is my company worth? While valuing companies at these stages is often an art with little science, valuations are crucial to negotiate with investors, create equity plans for employees, or prepare for a liquidity event. Understanding the factors that impact the valuation better positions executives to maximize value for founders, investors, and employees. Helping clients scale their business and plan for the future is what we do at Verdin. If you're a technology company executive, let Verdin help you develop innovative solutions to enhance your company's value and fuel its growth.
For more industry chat from Verdin Accountants and Advisors, visit VerdinLLP.com. That's VERDONLLP.com. Verdin Accountants and Advisors. We listen, we solve, we do.
Bridge Bank helps breakthrough ideas actually break through and remains dedicated to providing financial solutions to the risk takers, the game changers, and the disruptors, those committed to making the world a better place. Bridge Bank has been providing financial solutions to technology and innovation companies from
For 1 million bonds globally, IBKR has no markups or built-in spreads and low, fully transparent commissions on bonds. IBKR displays the highest bids and lowest offers received from the electronic venues they access. In addition, clients can interact with each other by placing bids and offers online to execute their trades. Learn more at ibkr.com/bonds.
CohnReznick Advisory Assurance Tax. Visit CohnReznick's C-Suite dashboard to get the insights and intelligence you need to stay ahead. Visit CohnReznick.com/C-Suite.
When you're thinking about including charity in your will, you want to make sure your legacy is secure. For almost 100 years, the New York Community Trust has been a trusted partner to thousands of New Yorkers who want to give back. Together with the Trust, you can custom build a charitable fund that ensures your name will live on as a champion of the causes dear to you. Build a brighter future for our region with the New York Community Trust. It's how New Yorkers create legacies. Visit philanthropist.nyc to learn more.
Now Bloomberg traffic and weather on the Staten Island Expressway westbound at Bradley Avenue. An accident, one lane is blocked. and it looks like at least a 10-minute delay. The Belt Parkway, an accident eastbound at Main 8th Street, has one lane blocked. The lanes back to the Verrazano Bridge. The ride in Manhattan over on the west side, free and clear all the way on up, all the way back down. 10 extra minutes from the Harlem River Drive, approaching the George Washington Bridge. Outbound Holland Tunnel to 10 minutes. 10 in from both the Turnpike and 1 and 9. Less than 5 both ways at the Lincoln Tunnel. Inbound upper level, George Washington Bridge. That is still a 10-minute delay. In New Jersey, an accident through the eastern spur of the New Jersey Turnpike, northbound, getting over near 15E. The shoulder is blocked, delaying from Newark Airport. In sports, with the World Cup at last check in the 33rd minute, still 0-0 between the U.S. and England. Tonight, the Nets visit Indiana, the Knicks host Portland, the Islanders are in Columbus, and the Devils visit snowy Buffalo. The Bloomberg 11:30 3-day weather. Rest of today, partly sunny, high of 50. Tonight, clear, lows fall to 35 to 40. Now Saturday sunshine, highs 50 to 55. Sunday rain, but a little milder. Highs on Sunday range 55 to 60. Right now in Central Park, it's partly sunny. Current temperature checks in 51 degrees with the best ride. In and out of the city, I'm Ed Pilecki, Bloomberg 11:30, bringing you global news 24 hours a day.
World markets, headlines, and breaking news 24 hours a day at Bloomberg.com, the Bloomberg Business app, and at Bloomberg Quick Take. This is Bloomberg 11:30. Now, a global news update.
The man who shot and killed 6 people at a Walmart in Virginia bought the gun legally on the morning of the shooting. That's according to a tweet from the city of Chesapeake. This comes after the alleged shooter's death note was posted online, which included him saying he failed God and his associates were going to suffer the same fate as him. Stocks are closing mixed to end the holiday-shortened trading week. Worries about COVID-19 lockdowns in China dampened market sentiment following an otherwise upbeat Thanksgiving week. At the closing bell, the Dow Jones Industrial Average gained 152 points, the S&P 500 lost a point, and the Nasdaq fell 58 points. Canada's Prime Minister is testifying about his government's decision to invoke a controversial law to halt a trucker protest. A convoy of truckers brought the capital city of Ottawa to a standstill this winter as they were trying to fight back against COVID vaccine mandates. Justin Trudeau has said the use of the Emergencies Act was a measure of last resort. That's the latest. I'm Julie Ryan.
You're listening to Bloomberg Business Week with Carol Messer and Bloomberg Quick Take Tim Stenovich from Bloomberg Radio.
Well, shares of Sonos traded higher right after reporting earnings this past week. Stock, though, still down around 40% year to date. Among the quarterly headlines, though, that stood out, fourth quarter revenues beat estimates.
And analysts found the print to be, quote, solid. Well, the reaction to guidance for 2023 was mixed, with some impressed and others seeing it as a little light. We dug into all of that and more with the CEO of Sonos, Patrick Stentz.
We've seen things stabilize, so we obviously took a hit back in June in terms of kind of the trajectory in our business, and so...
Was that a post-pandemic or continuation of a post-pandemic reset?
You know, I think it was more macroeconomic in terms of just generally like what consumers were doing and in the summer traveling and all of those things, and so yeah, we did a bit of a reset at that point, and what we've seen in this quarter is we got it right, our business stabilized. We shared a few data points on the call around registrations, which are kind of like the underlying activations of new Sonos speakers that show, in fact, it's kind of, we're pretty optimistic in terms of where we are right now and what we're seeing. And so it's stable, and that's kind of the way we've set our guidance as we go forward. We're not expecting, things to get much worse. We're not expecting it to get much better, so we're just trying to be prudent in this kind of environment.
A lot of competition in this space. You guys are still relatively small, as you point out when you join us, every few months. I'm wondering about who your customer is, and I think about this in the context of what we saw from Walmart.
Well, it's you, it's me.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, we are. That's true, but I'm wondering, as you try to grow, we see a company like Walmart report results, and they say that, upper middle class customers are now trading down and shopping at Walmart rather than Target. Who's your customer, and are you worried about people trading down to less expensive competitors?
We're not, and I'm watching, during a period like this, you want to watch market share very closely, and from what we're seeing, we're gaining share in this period, and I think that speaks to the brand. But we do talk about the more affluent homes that we're in, and again, you pointed it out, we're still small in the grand scheme of things. We're in 9% of the homes that we think we can